All right, curious minds, and welcome back.
Great to be here.
So get ready, because today we're really digging into some pretty extraordinary claims about, where humanity actually came from.
Maybe why we're here.
Exactly. This isn't quite your standard history lesson or even a typical science. It's more about uncovering what our source material suggests is, well, a long-lost blueprint for who we are, fundamentally.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. We're exploring a very specific viewpoint here. One that argues that our modern systems, and that's everything from, say, scientific dogma, organized religion,
Even education.
yeah, that these might have actually distorted our true understanding of ourselves and maybe our original purpose.
Wow, okay.
So it's a fascinating idea that maybe we've strayed pretty far from the original design.
So our mission today, then, is to sort of unpack these ideas. They're pretty radical. We're drawing from a whole stack of sources. There's deep primary research, ancient sacred texts like the Hebrew scriptures.
Historical data, too.
Right, historical data, and even some alternative spiritual theories. We'll even touch on those intriguing Anunnaki versus Elohim debates.
Which, for anyone unfamiliar, basically explores whether ancient creator figures were, let's say, benevolent or perhaps more manipulative towards humanity. It gets complex.
It really does. So the big question is, what does all this potentially mean for you, for your own understanding of yourself? Okay, let's unpack this.
So central to a lot of these findings is this concept of a forgotten blueprint for humanity.
Okay.
The sources actually go into quite surprising detail about what they claim was our original design. And they argue it wasn't just physical.
Not just physical.
No, it was encoded, supposedly, with a specific energetic frequency geared towards higher awareness. They claim our true purpose was something radically different from, modern life.
Like what?
Well, perhaps something like being galactic conduits, rather than just, say, consumers or workers in the way we think of it now.
Galactic conduits. That's a big idea.
It is. And this perspective pulls heavily from sources like Genesis, yes, but also the Dead Sea Scrolls, various ancient myths, and even texts described as suppressed historical information. It fundamentally asks, what was our initial intended state?
That's a powerful vision of where we might have started. But, okay, if this original blueprint really existed, the obvious question is, what happened?
Right.
Where did it go? Our sources dive headfirst into what they pretty controversially call the hijacking of human identity.
Strong term.
It is. And they paint this picture of deliberate disconnection, suggesting that systems of control governments, certain religious structures, media, have subtly manipulated narratives, redefined our spiritual purpose even.
Actively diverting us, they claim, from this foundational truth.
And they connect this alleged hijacking directly to daily life. Things like technological overstimulation, maybe fragmenting our focus.
Or processed foods diminishing our energetic vitality, perhaps.
Yeah, and spiritual disconnection ultimately weakening what they call our divine alignment, our inherent energetic link back to that original state.
It's a potent, almost unsettling idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
That our everyday world could be sort of pulling us further from our true selves.
Definitely makes you think. So this raises a really important question. If we have been disconnected, how do we get, grounded and connected again?
Exactly. And the sources do examine that. They look at practices involving nature, like literally walking barefoot on the earth, that kind of grounding.
Okay.
And even things like frequency-based healing are proposed as ways to maybe restore the body.
It's interesting how some, actual scientific studies on the body's electrical field seem to echo these older spiritual ideas, isn't it?
It is. It hints at maybe a forgotten energetic unity between us and the earth.
So given all this, the blueprint, the hijacking, the potential for reconnection, what now? What's the takeaway?
Well, the sources don't just leave it there. They culminate in a pretty powerful call to action. They term it awaken the remnant.
Awaken the remnant. What does that entail?
It's not just theory. It's about practical steps, like how to spiritually detox, how to maybe break free from mental strongholds, and reclaim what they refer to as your divine DNA.
Which, just to clarify for listeners, in these sources, seems to describe an inherent blueprint of higher consciousness, untapped potential within each of us.
Precisely. They offer insights, tools, even affirmations aimed at fostering this kind of awakening. It's a very proactive stance, really, suggesting that personal transformation is actually key to reclaiming this lost heritage.
So wrapping up then, this entire deep dive has really been a journey Through this compelling idea of a forgotten blueprint for humanity,
Mm,
the alleged hijacking of our identity through various modern systems,
right.
and then this proposed path to getting grounded and connected again, to reclaim what the sources are calling divine DNA.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
It certainly makes you think differently about how we perceive our place in the world, and maybe our own potential.
Exactly. And that leads to a final thought, really, for you, the listener. If our understanding of humanity's true origins is indeed shaped, or perhaps distorted, by external systems,
Yeah?
then what active steps can you take to critically examine the information you consume? And how might you forge a deeper connection to your own sense of purpose? It raises that fundamental question, doesn't it?
It does.
How do we discern truth from all these different narratives? And what might reclaiming truth really entail for you personally? Something to mull over.